The morning sun spilled golden light across Richard's luxury Lagos mansion. Everything about the house gleamed: polished marble floors, glittering chandeliers, the quiet hum of wealth. But beneath the calm elegance, storms often brewed. Richard sat in his living room, his crisp shirt unbuttoned at the collar, wiping beads of sweat from his forehead. The heat wasn't the only reason he felt restless. The maid hovered quietly in the corner, clutching a tray. She was new, timid, and cautious, the kind who spoke only when spoken to. Richard turned suddenly, his sharp gaze landing on her. "Does the name Jonathan mean anything to you?" he asked, his voice low, curious. The maid froze. Her heart raced. Jonathan. She knew the name well. Everyone in Lagos did. Slowly, she nodded. "Yes, sir. He's your uncle." Richard leaned back, almost satisfied. "Good," he replied coolly, his lips twitching into a faint smile. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a few notes. Just as he extended his hand, a voice cut through the silence like a knife. "Is this what you do when I'm not around?" Jennifer asked angrily. She stood in the doorway, arms folded, eyes blazing. Stunning as always, her attire hugging her curves, her long hair flowing carelessly over her shoulders. But her beauty carried fire, not softness. Richard turned to face her. "Does the wolf tear the goat to bits?" he asked dryly. "Yes." "And no," Jennifer snapped, her voice dripping venom. "Not when the goat is busy seeking solace in the arms of another woman." The maid's hands trembled. Her tray rattled against her palms as she whispered, "I'm only here to do my job, madam." "Keep quiet," Jennifer barked. "Did I ask you to talk back? You came into this house with poverty still clinging to your skin, and now you think you can drag me down." "Husband snatcher." Jennifer's hand cracked across the maid's face, sending her stumbling. "How dare you speak back to me? You silly, useless girl, you church rat." The maid stood there shell-shocked, shivering in miserable drizzle of words oozing out of Jennifer's mouth. "As long as I live and breathe, I will make your life hell in this house." Her crafty expression flickered over as the maid looked in the direction of Richard, his tall lean frame, an angular profile, filled with anticipation, as if waiting for Richard to step in and do something. She slapped her again, this time pushing her to the floor. Screaming, kicking and shouting at the maid, "Your continued presence in this house jeopardizes everything I have worked so hard for." The housemaid rolled over the threadbare Persian rug on the floor, underneath Jennifer, looking disoriented and genuinely frightened. Completely confused, and obviously in bad shape, and motionless the entire time and clammy with sweat. Richard let out a very long sigh, briskly walked towards Jennifer as she was about to launch a further attack on the maid. His face had grown increasingly angry and blotchy. "Enough," Richard blurted out sternly in anger. "Listen," said Richard, pointing in her face. "From now on, you are to stay out of my way. I don't want to see, hear, or smell you. Go pack your things or leave this house, understand? Do I make myself clear?" Richard felt angry and struggled to control his temper. He couldn't believe what he had just witnessed. That was no way to treat a maid. Jennifer fought back her tears. "I am sure we can talk about this. Can we to our bedroom?" Jennifer asked. Richard ignored her invitation to talk privately and interrupted her. "Those are my instructions. Go inside, pack your things and leave my house now." Even though there were things that he could control, Jennifer was a constant, one headache, one nightmare. But she was a great lover, great in bed. Her maddening talents in the bedroom surpasses any girl or woman Richard has ever had or dated. Crazy in bed. Sex with Jennifer inspired his manly confidence. His entire sexual life turned around when he met Jennifer. She solved the mystery of his sex life. However, her behavior wasn't good enough. Jennifer's chest rose and fell, fury still spilling from her eyes. She raised her hand, this time to slap Richard. He caught her wrist mid-air. His grip was firm, his voice colder than ice. Jennifer yanked her arm back, her face twisted with rage. For a moment, she hesitated, her lips trembling between anger and heartbreak. Then she hissed through clenched teeth. "You'll regret this, Richard. No one throws me out. No one dumps me. Do you understand? Richard, you go see Pepper. This is just the beginning," her long fingers caressing her disheveled hair, adjust her ruffled gel. She stormed out, her footsteps echoing like a warning. Richard exhaled slowly, shoulders heavy with regret. He glanced at the maid, who stood frozen, rubbing her cheek, where the slap still burned. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "Please get back to work." But even as the maid slipped away, Richard's mind wasn't at ease. Jennifer's words lingered in the air, "You'll regret this." And in that moment, Richard knew, the storm was only just beginning. The dining room glowed with soft candlelight. Two tall candlesticks flickered in the center of the long mahogany table, their wax dripping slowly onto polished brass holders. Silver cutlery gleamed under the chandelier, and the aroma of jollof rice, pepper soup, and grilled fish drifted through the air. Two chefs lingered discreetly by the doorway, waiting for instructions. The mansion was unusually quiet that evening. The clatter of silverware and the distant shuffle of servants usually filled the air, but tonight, silence pressed against the walls. A row of candles flickered on the dining table, their flames bending slightly in the draft from the air conditioning. Two chefs lingered in the background, waiting for instructions that never came. Jennifer sat stiffly, arms folded across her chest, her eyes fixed on Richard at the other end of the table. Her beauty was undeniable, radiant, commanding, but her expression was thunderous. The maid moved quietly, setting dishes down, careful not to draw attention to herself. Richard broke the silence first, dabbing his forehead with a napkin, though the room was cool. "We can't keep living like this," he muttered, his voice tight. "Every day is a war." Jennifer's laugh was short, bitter. "War?" She turned sharply, her earrings glinting in the candlelight. "You call this war?" "No, Richard. War is when a woman has to share her home with a servant who thinks she can look me in the eye as if we are equals." The maid froze mid-step, her hands trembling as she placed a dish on the table. She opened her mouth to respond, then thought better of it, lowering her gaze. Richard shifted in his chair, exhaustion etched into his face. He looked at the maid, then at Jennifer, and the weight of the moment pressed on him. "She works here, Jennifer, nothing more." Jennifer slammed her palm on the table. The candles shook, wax spilling down their sides. "Don't patronize me. I see the way she looks at you. I see the way you protect her." Before Richard could reply, the heavy sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway. The door creaked open. Jonathan entered, his presence as imposing as the mansion itself. He didn't need to raise his voice. His silence was enough to command attention. His eyes swept across the table at Richard, tense and weary, at Jennifer, rigid with fury, and finally, at the maid, shrinking into herself under his gaze. "Interesting," Jonathan said at last, his deep voice calm but laced with menace. "This house, it reeks of secrets, and secrets," he paused, leaning closer, "never stay buried for long." The maid's heart pounded in her chest. Jennifer's glare softened into unease. Richard lowered his eyes, the throbbing pain in his arm returning with vengeance. Dinner had begun, but no one touched their food. Jonathan was not a man who needed to raise his voice. His silence, his stare, his sheer presence were often enough to bend men in his orbit. In Lagos, his reputation stretched further than his name. To the business elite, he was a ruthless negotiator. To the underworld, he was an untouchable power broker. To family, he was the uncle you never dared cross. That evening, after leaving Richard's mansion, Jonathan's convoy sliced through the traffic of Lagos mainland. Black SUVs with tinted windows moved in unison, their presence commanding the road. Inside, Jonathan sat alone in the back seat.